with the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Joyce Laboso, Rosa Buyu, Deputy Organizing Secretary of ODM, and Anne Nyukabi-Gadesha, the women representative from Kiambu County. And now we discuss some politics. And this headline about PNU is both on the Daily Nation and the Standard. On the Daily Nation, you find that story on page 8. On the Standard, on page 13. Big win for Munya as PNU merger annulled. President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party suffered a setback yesterday after a tribunal ruled that the Party of National Unity, PNU, was not part of the Jubilee coalition. Now, the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal yesterday nullified PNU's merger with Jubilee Party, saying it was irregularly done. Now, the development is viewed as a big win for Meru Governor Peter Munya, who was to be installed as the party's new leader before the merger controversy emerged. And even away from the Meru politics, because we know that's a huge factor in this, now this gives an option for people, especially from Mount Kenya region. Of course, yes, indeed, it is a setback for Jubilee. You do agree that?
I don't know whether to say it is a setback, but I would say that, you know, clearly PNU, throughout as we were, you know, going towards the merger, there was always, is it in, is it out? You know, are we coming on board or are we not coming on board? So from the beginning, it wasn't very clear that whether this PNU was with us or what it wasn't. So it was not surprising that they went, you know, to the tribunal, and I'm also not very surprised that this is the outcome. That you know, the tribunal has decided that maybe, you know, looking at all the factors that on the table and what the requirements needed to be brought on board for you to say that you are part of the Jubilee, that it has come to that. But you know, the issue is, you know, that Mount Kenya or the Mount Kenya region, his family is behind the Jubilee. So the question, and all of them, of course, you know, are going to support the president. So maybe this is for those of members, politicians who are almost uncomfortable about being all put into this one big basket. You know, might find that this is an avenue for them. But
that was the whole point of the Jubilee merger. And before I come to you, Rosa Buyu, that was the entire point of merging all parties into Jubilee, to avoid this other option for anyone who might not, just to consolidate support around the president. Now you have, and PNU is a huge party. It is associated with the former president.
Yes, it is. While that may have been, clearly the intention for Jubilee Party is to ensure that we have free and fair elections. We know that there are people who get quite jittery, and those who clearly don't want to go through a nomination process. And you'll find that they either want to be independent or they'll join PNU. Clearly, from the beginning, we know that Munya has been extremely jittery because he is afraid of the local dynamics of the politics within his area. But if we take a look at the real reason behind putting together a single party, is to ensure that we are able to strengthen grassroots politics. It's to ensure that we are able to ensure that the voice of every single person within that area is heard. And how better to do it than through a strong party that is well funded at the grassroots level, where people can come in and present their ideas. They know that they can identify with a particular party and where it's going. And when we take a look at I mean, it's democracy.
Kenya has gone back to multi-party. It was a single party, Jubilee Party. Now it's gone back to multi-party, and now you have PNU. And I know you do have your own issues within court.
Can you talk about this Jubilee before you get to our condition? I think the whole purpose of getting everybody in central Kenya into one basket was to propel this tyranny of numbers, because Jubilee wanted everybody to come in as Jubilee, so that in Parliament they have this tyranny of numbers. But what you see now is exactly what Chinua Achebe talked about. Things fall apart. And this is the beginning of things falling apart in Jubilee. Why am I saying that? Jubilee comes as Jubilee Party with PNU as part of it. Now PNU pulls out. We are going to see more people pulling out.
Oh no.
Yes, we are going to see more people pulling out.
Because I'm seeing a situation where these other parties are dissolved and they're still struggling, and because there are no party positions that were given, and they
Tip was already complaining. Fred, you had Tip complaining that since we dissolved and merged, we've had nothing, and yet decisions are being made. Where are we? So this is the beginning.
And now they have something to compare with and say those guys in PNU are doing much better out there.
No, now I think the issue is, and that is a valid concern, that you know, since we had the merger, there has been a lull. That people have been waiting now. What next after the merger? So really, that one is a concern that I think has been raised, and really us as Jubilee Party and our party leaders, we need to address that issue very, very quickly, so that gap which is giving everybody these jitters and even not knowing, because there is no position which has been given to anybody, so there is no need, or nobody needs to be talking about, oh, Tip has not got this and who has not got the other, because there has not been any positions that have been given out. So I think
Tip is not crying about positions. Tip is crying about decisions are being made and they're not.
Where are those decisions?
Thank you. So all you're saying is JP is dead and nothing is happening.
No, not at all.
Let's look at it from a Meru perspective, and of course Kiraitu Murungi, having spearheaded the Jubilee merger, he himself was a party leader of the APK. He had a huge position within this whole formation. But now
he has no position.
He has no role in the Jubilee Party. Yet his biggest rival, Peter Munya,
is running away with
be party leader of PNU. But and actually have really,
I think when we take a look at the anxiety within the Jubilee Party is people want to start the registration. They know there's so much that needs to be done, and that anxiety, you find people are going to set up their own offices. People are just they're gung ho because they know it's 9 months to the election and they need to take up. So it's really not an issue for people to be scared and run away and start forming their own parties. No, that's, you know, sometimes cowards do that. But it's actually an opportunity now for people to come together and agree on how we're going to move forward. And because it's a competitive field, we know that many people are afraid of being chujuad. But I can assure you, the minute that the structures are put in for Jubilee Party, that the announcement is made that recruitment, that these are the, what do you call them, the party cards and life membership and all of that, you will see activity that is going to make this PNU irrelevant in the whole scheme of things.
Okay.
This is a tsunami. It is going to happen. You know, we just need to tell our leaders, please, let this gap is taking too long.
This is the beginning of things fall apart.
For ODM, we know that. You know, Men in Black and that kind of thing.
Would you say the same thing for Ford as you move on to the other headline? ODM, Raila Odinga says he will definitely be on the ballot, and we had a similar statement earlier this week from the Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, that he definitely will be on the ballot. Moses Wetangula is also pushing for the same. Would you use the same statement? Things fall apart?
This is the difference between CORD and Jubilee. CORD allows each party and individuals to compete within their individual parties to the best level they can. Okay, and that is why Raila, or Honorable Raila, is talking about, so confidently talking about being in the ballot paper in the next election. And so is Kalonzo, and so is Wetangula, because within their own parties, their parties have actually endorsed them, or their parties have actually...
So how will they be on the ballot?
No, because...
Which ballot? The party one?
Am I going to be given a chance to talk?
Let's give her a chance.
Am I going to be given a chance to talk? So what CORD is doing, unlike Jubilee, who's putting everybody in one basket and hitting their heads to stay in this basket and support President Uhuru and William Ruto, CORD is actually allowing individual entities to actually compete within themselves, come up with their leaders, and then they compete at this top level for a CORD presidential candidate. The reason why Honorable Raila is talking about that is because it's confidence. Confidence backed by pollsters that actually show that is way ahead of the other nominees within the CORD affiliates. So what is exuding now is just confidence. But he's not saying that he will violently or whatever be, but he's saying, with all the pollsters behind me, I am sure that I am going to be the CORD flag bearer.
Okay.
No, for me, actually, it is just leading to the question. So this confidence is about being the front bearer for ODM. not any other
within
party.
CORD.
So this ballot that he's talking about is for ODM. The ballot box for ODM is the one that he's very sure about, because he cannot have that level of confidence, you know, when he's talking about Wiper and when he's talking about Ford Kenya. But really, this is to say this, you know, because this country is, you know, is for all of us, and this is an election year. The temperatures will be rising, you know. I think for us, you know, Jubilee, it's this basket thing, yes, it's scary, and sometimes for candidates who are not very sure of themselves, you know, because it's all about the ground. It's really not about us. Exactly. We can sit here and try and think that we are dividing it with seats amongst ourselves and, you know, all this, but the real people who are going to decide are out there in the ground. So ODM, the issue is, up to now, it is less than a year, you know, to elections. We have no clue. With CORD, yes, ODM, you know who your leader is, and the others, each of them knows the leader. But you say you are I don't know what it is that you are, but
a coalition.
You are a coalition.
Yes.
So you are a coalition, and up to this point, you have no clue who is your leader, who is going to be your flag bearer. Not leader, who is going to be your flag bearer. So I really think, as much as you are seeing us, you know, calling this one fall apart, one party, we had 12 of them, and you know, this is already showing that we are more organized than you. And we are ready to compete with you. We just need to know who you are we competing with.
Indeed,
who is
it is
our
9 months. It is 9 months to the election.
Completely. Yes. You know, you can actually look at it as a definition of madness or lunacy. When you have a car, you can only have one driver. Only one person will engage the gear. You cannot have 3 people trying to sit on a chair, trying to press the accelerator. The other one is pressing the brake. The other one, I don't know, is pressing the what. You mwingine anaingiza brake. You mwingine handbrake anataka kuvuruta. It's not possible. And this is, you know, when we're talking about Jubilee Party and you're saying that it's collapsed. No, actually we're trying to put a semblance of order to ensure that you have one driver, to ensure that the person responsible for that steps on the accelerator is the same one person, because a car can only move forward. There are very many parts that ensure that it moves forward, and they must work in harmony and in sync. Not what we are seeing here, that so you are going to be the leader for ODM, Wiper for sure, and then this one. Yes. So who exactly is going to lead this particular vehicle, and which way is it? Is it going to go reverse, sideways, backwards? You know, it's a complete confusion.
But it's a mess. Of course, 9 months to the election, the more this discussion about who is going to be the presidential flag bearer for CORD persists, the more it looks like there's a problem, because for how much longer will this chest thumping from all your affiliate party leaders continue?
Fred, who determines what the right time is? You? Jubilee? Who determines what the right time is for a party to unleash its strategy? It's the party itself.
The party itself.
So in this case, it's the coalition itself. She's talking about a car. The car for coalition, our coalition, is not moving yet. So you don't see Kalonzo driving, Wetangula driving, somebody holding. No. When the car begins to move, there will only be one driver. But at this particular time, we are actually looking for those parts that you're talking about. And when the driver does come out, it is us to decide who the driver is going to be, and at what time do we unleash that driver.
And what time the vehicle will take off.
And what time the vehicle takes off. You know, let me just say this. Usually when you're fighting an opponent, you could actually keep everything under wraps until last minute and give them the surprise element and win on that basis.
Okay.
Remember that all our party affiliates are not quiet. Surely the most active parties now is Wiper and ODM in this country at the moment. So we are not quiet and waiting. Without Jubilee knowing, we are actually on the campaign trail already.
Yes.
As they are waiting that, oh, CORD is sitting not having a driver, we are actually already campaigning. By the time we do come up with our driver, our campaign will have been behind us with the people in our vehicle.
Anyway, I mean, with all due respect to my friend here, but I can clearly tell you that Kenyans are watching, and Kenyans know who is actually on the ground. I can assure you that as we are just raring to go. We know our areas, and not only our areas, that we are making very serious inroads into your areas, or formally, code areas. There is no sleeping. Everybody knows that we are going into Western with a force. We are going into, the Nyanza, the Kisii Nation. We are going into the coast. So there is nobody who, really. We have already taken off, and we are taking off knowing very clearly who are our leaders, and who is the person who is driving, and who is coming next, and so the thing is all set. I mean,
Deputy President William Ruto on Mashujaa Day said you cannot compete. You're not competing at the same level because you do not have a leader yet. Do you agree?
That is just part of this whole thing, that they think they can set the agenda for the coalition. They cannot set the agenda for the coalition.
Okay.
They cannot. And even when they try, and I'm sorry, but I have to mention this, even when they try to outdo the opposition in things that are so clearly Kenyan. For example, you must have listened to the speech of the president on Mashujaa Day, when he's talking about the heroes in Kenya. There is no way you will talk about independence, democracy, multi-party, and not mention Raila Amolo Odinga and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. So even those are the tactics they're trying to use, but you cannot change the history of the country. So if you think that is what going means, your going is futile. That is not what the going should be.
Well,
as you wrap up this discussion.
We hear you, and I think sometimes you have to really feel sorry for a leaderless, a headless coalition. While they are busy trying to figure out where they are going, we are busy delivering electricity, busy ensuring that the promises, the laptops are being delivered, sorting out the issue of teachers, sorting out a multitude of issues and promises that were made to Kenyans. We are working, and we have also already identified our candidates. We have already identified our vehicle that we are going to be using, and we are ensuring that there's service delivery to the whole country. At the same time. So, we are not even on the same level. We are not on the same plane. And every Kenyan is looking and saying this. You know what? We are tired of having a rudderless leader trying to lead this country for the last 30-something years and not taking us anywhere. We want a clear vision. We want a new way of where we are going. We want an approach of service delivery to all people, a level of democracy that is going to allow us to be felt and heard within our countries and within the development and a say within this country. And I think that is what Jubilee Party offers.
As we end this yes, I'm giving you a chance. I'm giving all of you a chance, and we'll start probably with you as you give your final comment. Unfortunately, because of time, we were hoping to discuss ODM dropping rebel MPs from House Committee. So you can choose to mention something on that as you give your final comments. We'll start with you, Rosa Bui.
Fred, you're working. You're working with the corruption at NYS. That is working. You're working with the almost near collapse of SGR. That is working. Why do you think Kenyans are so blind that you can fool them that you're working when they are actually dogged with such huge corrupt dealings in the country? You talk about Galana, and yet you tell us that now the country, I watched the Minister of Devolution last night talking about the drought that's imminent next year. And how much have we spent in the Galana project, which was supposed to kill or put to the minimum any fears of drought in this country? Kenyans are hungry, Kenyans are poor, Kenyans go to bed without many Kenyans go to bed without even one meal a day, and you tell us that you're working?
Of course.
What is this work that they're doing?
Yes.
I want to talk about the rebels and ODM. And I'm really happy that for the first time, even when Lucy Ndung'u doesn't seem to be giving too much leeway to political parties to actually exercise their democratic rights in ensuring that only the players or the people who are loyal to the party remain within the party. What ODM has done is what ODM should have done a long time ago. Because you cannot claim that you belong to a different party or another party and yet sit in these committees as a member of ODM. That is just undemocratic. That is just not right. So I want to commend ODM for actually making sure that if you are not on ODM or you're not loyal to the party that took you to parliament, then you should not in any capacity serve or pretend to serve the party in any of those committees.
Okay. Thank you.
I said the nation is working. We are clearly aware of that. When it comes to the issue of accountability, we can see the Jubilee government is trying to do that. In fact, we need to go and repossess that Yatta land that was stolen from NYS so that we can be able to plant more food that will be available to Kenyans. We need to go on, and the money that was lost in Kazi Kwa Vijana, and, you know, the maize scandal, Triton, we see people who have been avoiding paying taxes by importing molasses, ethanol that is killing local Kenyans, by getting them addicted to alcohol. You know, those are the kind of fish that we need to go after, people who are not interested in the development of this nation. Drought, we should not play politics with the issues of drought. We need to actually start enforcing, and it's a natural calamity. We know that it happens every so often. We know that there's food distribution going on. In fact, this Saturday we're in Kinango giving food. So we take a look and say that we're actually responding to those needs. Okay. We need a more sustainable way of being able to deal with it, but it needs to be harmonized with the national government and the county government. Okay. The only government that is doing that currently is Jubilee.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think for me it's really, let's you know, call a spade a spade. Jubilee government has done and is doing a good job. Yes, there is corruption, but it is not, Jubilee government did not bring corruption. It is addressing it in the best way it can, and it, you know, the president has clearly shown. He has said, let the institutions charged with it, you know, deal with it. You're talking of the SGR. I can assure you, Kenyans are seeing it. If you say that it is almost collapsing, yet it is almost from Nairobi, it's almost arrived in Nairobi. So I don't know what is collapsing. And really, let's really be fair and say this government is doing the best they can, and we are admitting when there are issues. And like the president has clearly said, yes, we have things to deal with. We have issues of corruption. We have issues of ethnicity. But let the institutions charged with those the responsibility, you know, deal with it. Okay. Drought is not, it's a national disaster. It is not anybody's making. And the only thing is that the government to address it. Galana was a project. There was you know, aspirations on how much was supposed to be gotten from there. It hasn't arrived there. But then measures are being taken because you know you have a vision. But you know, if you don't achieve, then you look at the issues. What is it that has brought the you know, the shortfall, and then address those issues.
Thank you. So Jubilee has is sinking money and sinking money in projects that just never take off.
Thank you, ladies.
And it's unfortunate that you're not
Joyce Laboso, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Member of Parliament for Sotik, and also an aspirant for the Bomet Governor seat. Rosa Bui, Deputy Organizing Secretary, ODM, an aspirant for Kisumu Women Representative, and of course Anne Nyokabi Gadesha, Women Representative, Kiambu County, helping us look at the headlines this morning. Thank you a lot, ladies. Now, church is coming up in a short while, and